You were 7 years old, but you already knew how to read the room. You knew which footsteps meant danger. You knew when to make yourself smaller. You knew how to smile at the right moment, not because you were happy, but because someone needed you to be. You didn't play, you performed. And somewhere along the way, without anyone asking, without anyone noticing, you stopped being a child. Not because you grew up, but because you were never really allowed to be one in the first place. If that sentence just hit somewhere deep inside you, stay with me, because what I'm about to share might explain something you've been carrying your entire life. Part 1, the relatable scenario. Think back. While other kids were arguing about which cartoon to watch, you were worrying about whether your parents were going to fight tonight. While other kids forgot their homework and laughed about it, you were already planning 3 steps ahead, right? Sure. Because mistakes in your house had consequences, real ones. Maybe your parent was struggling with addiction, with depression, with anger, and somehow, without anyone handing you a manual, you became the one who managed it. You learned their moods like a language. You translated their pain for other family members. You became, in every practical sense, the adult in the room. Or maybe it was quieter than that. Maybe nobody was cruel. Maybe your parents just weren't there emotionally. They provided. They fed you. They kept the lights on. But when you cried, the room stayed cold. When you were scared, you were told to stop being dramatic. When you needed comfort, you got silence. Or worse, a look that made you feel like your feelings were an inconvenience, so you learned. You learned to need less. You learned to feel less. You learned to take care of yourself because waiting for someone else to do it only led to disappointment. And here's what nobody told you. That's not strength. That's survival. Part 2, the simple explanation. Psychologists have a name for what happened to you. It's called parentification. It happens when a child is forced, consciously or not, to take on emotional or practical responsibilities that belong to adults. Sometimes it's obvious. You cooked dinner, managed younger siblings, paid bills, but often it's invisible. You became your mother's therapist, your father's emotional anchor, the one who kept the family from falling apart. And the cruelest part, you were probably praised for it. You were called mature for your age. You were told you were so responsible. Adults admired you. Teachers liked you. And so you learned to associate your worth with your usefulness, not with who you were, with what you could do for others. That's a dangerous equation to build a life on. Part 3, the deep insight. Here's what that childhood actually did to your brain. When a child grows up in an environment where their needs consistently go unmet, where they must suppress their own emotions to manage someone else's, the nervous system adapts. It rewires itself around vigilance, around anticipation, around the constant low-level question, what does this person need from me right now? That wiring doesn't disappear when you turn 18. It follows you into every relationship, every job, every quiet moment where you should feel safe, but somehow don't. You become the friend who gives endlessly but can never receive. The partner who senses every shift in mood and immediately tries to fix it. The employee who over-delivers, overworks, and still lies awake at night wondering if it was enough. You feel responsible for other people's emotions. Not because you chose to, but because your nervous system was trained to believe that other people's emotional states are your problem to solve. And when things are going well, that almost feels more uncomfortable than when they're falling apart because chaos was familiar. Peace feels like a trap. This is not a character flaw. This is a wound. Part 4, real-life examples. Let me paint some pictures. There's the woman in her 30s who has built a beautiful life. Good job, loving partner, real friends, but she cannot relax. There's always something she should be doing. Resting feels lazy. Asking for help feels like weakness. She gives and gives until she's empty, then wonders why she feels so alone. There's the man who is everyone's rock, the one people call at 2 a.m., the one who always knows what to say, but ask him how he's doing, really doing, and he'll smile and change the subject. Because somewhere in childhood, he learned that his pain was not welcome, so he buried it so deep he almost forgot it was there. There's the teenager, maybe this was you, who sat at the dinner table managing the atmosphere, telling a funny story to break the tension, deflecting, performing, making sure everyone else was okay, while inside something quiet and sad was asking, "But who's going to take care of me?" Nobody answered, and so that child learned to stop asking. Part 5. The Twist. Here's the part that might be hardest to hear. You probably don't even know what you want. Not really. Not in the deep, instinctive way that people who had safe childhoods know, because you spent so many years tuned to other people's frequencies that you never learned to hear your own. You know how to want things for other people. You know how to support, to help, to show up. But ask yourself right now, what do you need? What do you actually want from your life, from your relationships, from tomorrow morning? For many people who grew up too fast, that question creates a strange, anxious blank, because wanting things for yourself felt selfish, because your needs were either ignored or treated as a burden, and so you stopped having them, or at least you stopped admitting that you did. But they're still there, underneath all that competence and all that giving and all that keeping it together. There's a younger version of you that never got to just be, never got to be messy and uncertain and needy and free. That part of you isn't gone. It's just waiting. Part 6. Conclusion and healing. So what do you do with all of this? You start by understanding that healing doesn't mean going back. You can't reclaim the childhood you didn't have, but you can slowly, imperfectly, with a lot of patience, begin to give yourself now what you didn't get then. You can learn to rest without guilt. You can practice receiving, letting people help you, letting compliments land, letting someone else carry something for once. You can start noticing when you're managing a room instead of actually being present in it. And you can pause just for a second and ask yourself, what do I actually feel right now? Not what should I do? Not what does this person need? What do I feel? That pause, that tiny radical act of turning inward, is where it starts. You were a child who had to become an adult too soon. That took something from you, and it shaped you in ways that are still unfolding. But here's what I want you to hold on to. The fact that you survived it, that you built a life, that you're still here, still trying to understand yourself, that's not nothing. That's everything. You deserved a childhood. You deserved someone to take care of you. You deserved to be small and safe and free from worry. You deserved that then. And in the ways that still matter, you deserve it now. Soft pause, let it breathe. If this video spoke to something in you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're on this journey of understanding yourself, subscribe. There's a lot more we need to talk about.